You're tuned in to The Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something central to how a lot of projects get done, especially software projects, Scrum. You know, that framework using short work cycles, sprints.
Exactly. And for everyone listening, we're not just talking theory. We're going to look closely at a specific tool, Agilebars Sprint Scheduler. We'll use it as a sort of practical lens.
A lens to see how Scrum's core processes actually play out.
Yeah, and maybe more importantly, how you can get around some of those common problems people run into managing sprints.
Okay, we've got the product info for Agilebars here, and
it seems designed specifically to streamline sprint scheduling, make it less of a chore.
so our mission today really is to break down how Agilebars actually supports each key step in a typical sprint.
We want to see how it claims to make things more efficient and critically more transparent for you managing your projects.
Okay, let's dive in then. The material we have lays out this 5-step sprint scheduling process within Agilebars. That seems like a pretty good structure for us.
It does. It maps quite nicely onto how a Scrum sprint generally flows, doesn't it? From planning right through to review.
So if we look at how Agilebars handles each step, we should get a good idea of where it helps solve those tricky bits teams often face.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Step 1. Define sprint backlog and work items. This is basically building your sprint's foundation, setting up the work.
Precisely. The sprint backlog, that's the list of stuff the team commits to delivering in the sprint, prioritized, of course.
And Agilebars highlights this feature, spreadsheet sync. What's that about?
Well, it sounds like it lets you just import your existing product backlog.
So you don't have to manually type everything in again.
Exactly. That sounds like a huge time saver right off the bat. Avoids all that tedious re-entry.
That does sound good. It also mentions a tags table. What's the idea there? Keeping metadata consistent.
Seems like it. Things like story owner, priority, status. Keeping those consistent is, well, it's essential if you want decent filtering and reporting later on.
Right, otherwise your reports are kind of meaningless. Garbage in, garbage out.
Pretty much. You need that consistency. And the docs list out all the info Agilebars tracks for each item ID, name, description.
And there's another way to add items too, sprint creator bars.
Yeah.
Directly in the tool.
Yeah, a brief mention. So maybe some flexibility there depending on how teams like to work.
Okay, makes sense. Let's move to step 2, time phase sprint activities. This sounds like where you actually map out when things will happen during the sprint, visualizing the timeline.
That's the core idea. Once you know what you're doing, you need to plan when. This time phasing is crucial for accurate burn-down charts.
Those charts that show remaining work versus time.
Exactly. And just for general progress tracking, really. Being able to just drag a task to a new date seems vital.
It also mentions creating relationships between tasks, like dependencies, just by dragging.
Yeah, a little red dashed box appears, apparently. That's useful for seeing how tasks connect, where potential delays might cascade.
Okay, useful stuff. Step 3 then takes us to track daily progress, and the focus shifts to the Kanban view.
Right. The Kanban board becomes the sort of daily nerve center for the team. Agilebars uses pretty standard columns, it seems. Backlog, will do, doing, finalizing, done.
A clear workflow visual. So the idea is, during the daily stand-up meetings, team members just move their task card.
Exactly. Move the card from will do to doing when you start, then doing to finalizing, and finally to done. Simple drag and drop.
But the key thing here seems to be the automation that happens when you move those cards.
That's what jumps out. Move a card to doing, and bam, it's automatically logged as, and then done marks it 100% complete and logs the actual finish date too.
Okay, that takes away a lot of the manual tracking burden, doesn't it? No more chasing people for percentage updates or fiddling with spreadsheets.
That seems to be the big sell. It's automated earned value calculation, basically, based purely on the card's position.
And that directly feeds the progress tracking and those burn down charts.
That's the link. It makes the progress data objective, tied to the actual workflow state on the board. And again, it mentions that dual visualization.
Oh, right. So a change on the Kanban board.
Instantly shows up on that timescales Gantt view as well.
Yeah,
so both views are always in sync, giving you one consistent picture.
Got it. Okay, step 4. Monitor sprint performance. This is where we really dig into those burn down charts and the metrics.
Yep. Burn-down charts, they're classic Scrum. Visualizing if you're on track to hit the sprint goal. Are you burning down the work fast enough?
And Agilebars generates these with, what, a single click?
Sounds like it. And crucially, they use that real-time progress data we just talked about, pulled straight from the Kanban board updates. So it should be an accurate, up-to-the-minute view.
But there's something else mentioned here, baselines.
Yep.
What's that about? That sounds Potentially powerful.
It does sound interesting. Normally, you might take one baseline snapshot of your plan at the very start of the sprint.
Right, to compare against later.
But this suggests you can take multiple snapshots anytime. Maybe one after initial planning, one mid-sprint if things change significantly.
Ah, so you can track how the plan itself evolved during the sprint. Sprint progress as a percentage, that variance analysis comparing to baselines.
And even a forecast completion date based on the current trend. Is the current pace going to get us there on time?
So it's trying to provide not just a rearview mirror, but also a bit of a forward look based on real data.
That seems to be the goal.
Okay, makes sense. Final step, step 5. Share insights with stakeholders. Always important in Agile, keeping everyone in the loop.
Transparency is fundamental, yeah. Not just within the team, but outwards too. Agilebars talks about a cloud dashboard publishing feature here.
Aimed at making sharing easy.
Sounds like it. A single click to publish key sprint info burndowns, metrics to a dashboard accessible by the wider organization.
So just hit publish in the tool.
That's the gist. And then stakeholders can view this dashboard using a web browser on their computer, tablet, phone, whatever.
And crucially, they don't need to know how to use Agilebars itself, or even understand all the Agile jargon.
Exactly. It's about making the key outcomes progress. Forecasts easily digestible for people outside the immediate team without needing special software or training.
So it lowers the barrier for transparency. You don't need expensive BI tools just to share a burn down chart.
Right. It aims to democratize that information. The summary also mentions things like comprehensive reports tables, card views, secure sharing, controlled access.
And that cross-device accessibility again.
It all points towards making communication smoother, letting the team share progress easily, and letting stakeholders stay informed without interrupting the team constantly. Better alignment, hopefully.
Okay, so stepping back and looking at the whole 5-step process, it really does seem like Agilebars, with its dual views and automation, is laser-focused on simplifying the core Scrum activities.
Yeah, streamlining the planning, automating the daily tracking updates, making performance monitoring visual and easy, and then simplifying how you share that with stakeholders.
It seems designed to tackle a lot of the common friction points teams experience with Scrum processes.
I think so. By taking away some of the manual effort and providing clear visual tools, the goal seems to be making Scrum feel more accessible and, well, just more efficient for you running your projects.
That paints a very clear picture. So maybe the final thought for you, our listener, is this. Think about your own projects. How could a more transparent, data-driven way of managing sprints actually impact their predictability, their success?
And maybe pinpoint which parts of your current workflow, your current sprint management could really benefit the most from the kind of automation and clear visualization that tools like Agilebars promise, something to mull over.